Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Off Centered. Steve, how we doing tonight, man?
Oh, good. I almost fell asleep during that countdown. That music was like so soothing. And then,
It is soothing.
yeah. And I was scanning my eBay and like, it was like go live. And I was about to be like, are we live? Was that countdown for going live?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's just like an ambiance thing at the house, but we always put on like smooth jazz for my dog Spritz to sleep to, just to keep her in a calm mood. Not that she's like a killer or anything, but we want to keep it calm around here. So yeah, she's listening to that if anyone hears that in the background. All right, we've got Ryan, History Through Cards. What's going on? Check out that YouTube channel for sure. History Through Cards - shortcut for all the history associated with cards and things that were going on over time. It's actually really, really good stuff. And yes, feel free to answer Ryan in the comments. Robert Edward Auction. So yeah, that was a monster auction for them, Ryan. I got feedback from those guys. I'm sure you probably did well as well. And they were very happy with it. Very happy. Ha Van Dam, a regular. How we doing, man? Michael Ham Bone in the house from Tampa. Can't wait to see you at the next one, buddy. We're going to be doing drinks, and Steve will probably invite us to go to pizza. It's just down the road, and then it'll be like 3-mile walk, and we're still going.
It wasn't that far. Neo just doesn't have any stamina.
Yeah, that's fair. That's actually a fair point. Philly Joe, what's going on? Al from Iconic Baseball, another great YouTube channel. Check out Al at Iconic Baseball. What's going on? And then Steve Splenda, not Sweet and Low, Steve Splenda. What's going on? Hard Jimba used to be what? Barkley Charles, or what was it before?
Yeah, we follow all these Charles. I think he had like another name in there sometime too that didn't have the longevity of Hard Jimball or Barles Charkley or whatever it was.
Something. Rick Lau, personal finance grazing cow and drunk guy wandering around lost in Florida. The grazing cow, I haven't heard that in a while. What's funny is I ate on a live stream with Brad maybe like probably over a year ago. And the one time I actually had snacks on a live stream, I turned into the grazing cow. So there you go.
Oh, I remember that now.
John, what's going on? Panini lawsuit, an attempt to get more money in a potential acquisition of themselves from Fanatics. Yeah, I don't know. It's really kind of interesting. I was thinking about the Leaf stuff too, because there's a lot of talk about Leaf and then Fanatics or Collectors Universe. I made a video about it. Like somebody's buying Leaf or someone's trying to buy a Leaf. We just don't know who it is. Hell, maybe it's me. Hasbro. Maybe it's Flippin' Steve actually trying to buy Leaf. It very well could be. But you know why somebody would want Leaf? A simple reason why. And I know, some might say Brian Gray just being like he's been in it a long time and he knows his stuff and all that. I think it's the printing capability. I mean, they have printing capability, which you would think that's kind of a basic thing, but it's not a basic thing. I mean, look at how it's upset the apple cart with Upper Deck and not being able to get what's Upper Deck working on, like 2021 hockey products still. I mean, like I think printing capability is an underrated part of the manufacturing process. That would be one reason why you would want a company like Leaf. They've got connections in the printing space.
Oh, that's why you're finding Topps cards in Panini packs or vice versa, because they use the same printing even before they're, Topps they're not under the same umbrella yet, but they were using the same printing manufacturers or whatever to print their cards. That's probably how something like that would happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something's happened. I mean, it could be just a cryptic thing. Brian Gray does do that sort of stuff on Twitter on occasion, but it just seemed like a little bit much even for him. It just made you feel like something's going on behind the scenes. And I did hear some speculation, maybe he's trying to drum up some stuff. Maybe there's a couple of parties involved or whatever. Either way, we'll be watching it. We'll be reporting on it per usual. Steve will have a video. We'll have a video.
I'll be watching it. I won't be reporting on it. I might talk about it. I might talk about it in the car on the way to work.
Vintage card collector, what's going on, man? Yeah, enjoyed the pizza. We got lost. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the pizza. What was that place called in Chicago? DiMaggio's or something? No. Giorgiano's or something. That was really, really good.
But I will say this, and some people in the comments might be in an uproar. I still prefer New York style pizza. I still prefer New York style to Chicago deep dish. I think we got Chicago deep dish because I guess you're supposed to do that when you're in Chicago, but
right. I'll be honest. My wife is from Italy, and it's all thin crust. I mean, like it's like the stuff, the original stuff is thin crust. I know New York is thin crust. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing against that deep dish thing, but it's kind of like chicken parmesan. Chicken parmesan is not that's not an Italian dish. That's an Italian American creation. That's not a legit Italian dish. I know
some spaghetti and meatballs.
Some people might really flip, but that's just
So it's spaghetti and meatballs. They don't serve their pasta and their protein together in Italy. It's two separate courses.
Maggiano's. That's it. Al nailed it. Yes, we are definitely going to the National Harjimba. We will be there. Be there, be square, man. Are you going? Who all is going in the chat? Who all is going? Thoughts on Rodgers now with the Jets? You buying Jordan Love? Flippin' Steve was way ahead of this game, friends. He was way ahead of this. I actually sold some Jordan Love. I wouldn't say I was way ahead, but I bought some Jordan Love maybe like 3 months ago. We're talking like $2, $5, not the big time Jordan Love stuff. But I sold them for, like buy it for $3, sell it for $6, buy it for $5, sell it for $8 type thing. I still have some of them left, but yeah, Steve, do you want to share your Jordan Love story? And how do you feel about Aaron Rodgers now with the New York Jets?
Well, I don't like Aaron Rodgers on the Jets because my favorite team's in the AFC East.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it just makes the Jets more competitive against my team. Now, with cards, I mean, Aaron Rodgers cards, I mean, his legacy is kind of where it's going to be, right? Is he going to win another Super Bowl or MVP? He could. And then that might help his card values, but his card values already are valuable because he's been a good player since he started in 2005. Well, he was drafted. He had a couple of years where he sat. As far as Jordan Love goes, I'm not buying Jordan Love now. Now would be the wrong time to buy him. Like you wanted to. I was buying some Jordan Love like at the end of January, early February, first week of NFL playoffs, when a lot of other quarterbacks were getting attention. I was buying them in hopes that something like this would happen. But I sold a lot of them before this happened because just the news of it possibly happening caused the cards to go up in value. I bought 6 or 7, and I bought some nice ones. I bought some high-end ones, like some numbered contenders, championship ticket, PSA 10, things like that. But I flipped all of them except 2 already. And the only reason I held 2 is because I wanted to keep a couple. You know how we always talk about if you can make profit off something, you should sell it now. Well, I profited off about 70% of the cards that I sold, and then I kept the rest just to see what happens because I can't take a loss at this point. So, yeah, I've already bought and sold my Jordan Loves. So I wouldn't recommend going to buy him now because the news just dropped. So unless you think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, there's not a lot, there's going to be a lot of price baked into his cards. There already is. I sold one of my cards that I bought for $1,500. He hasn't really played yet. And I sold a Jordan Love card for $1,500. So I would rather sell that. And, I bought that card for $900. So full transparency, I made a $600 flip off of a Jordan Love card within a week. So to me, I'm going to take that money now because I don't know how he's going to play. And even if he plays well, does he get back to hype prices? Because this is hype. This is where we say sell the news, right? Don't buy the news. Sell the news. This is the news. This is when you want to be selling it.
And he could get a second bump. I mean, we've got the NFL draft tomorrow. So like Steve, we were actually talking about this in particular, like sell now or wait until, because look, I mean, the Packers might take a big wideout in the draft, or, they might take, an exciting, offensive player, whatever, running back or something. And then there's commotion about that team. And then, all the preseason people start talking about maybe the Packers are going to win the NFC North, all this stuff. And again, maybe that's and Steve, you were talking to like, a lot of these guys are fun to pick up now for the National. It's kind of fun to have a couple of these hot quarterbacks at the National because that's always what happens. I mean, August is always that time, like end of July, early August is that time. And if you happen to have that stuff, then it can be fun at trade night. And really, it's more about just having a couple of fun cards at trade night more than anything. So I think that's probably what you're going to do with those two, right? Most likely
I saved a couple to trade because you were at the Philly trade night with me, and that Contenders Jordan Love that I had people right there wanting it, and this was in Philly, and this was before the trade. You know, the Philly show was well over a month ago. That was like the first week of March, so it's been a month and a half ago. So, and you were there, and I moved some Jordan Love cards at that show. So he was trending then. Like I said, he started trending as soon as the possibility of Aaron Rodgers being traded started being talked about. You didn't have to wait until yesterday or whenever it was, Monday. You didn't have to wait till Monday. And yeah, the thought was I was going to carry a lot of this stuff to the National, and it would be fun. But you know what's even more fun than carrying these cards to the National is carrying cash to the National. So
exactly,
I took it when I could. Who knows what will happen by the time the National comes around. So it could be worth a little bit more, but I'm not greedy. I moved the cards when I had a chance to.
Yeah, no, especially in this environment where flips are just not easy to come by. They're just not. So good evening, Tim Clough. Good to see you. Vikings fan. Can't wait to play against Love, dude. It's not.
I got to write down these pizza places that Hard Jim Ball put up here. It says Lou Malnati's. Oh, Lou Malnati's. I think I saw that on the cooking channel one time.
And Pequod's. Okay.
The other one I haven't heard of, but I've heard of Lou Malnati's before. Pequod's.
Yeah. Ham thinks that Love will be a big sell at the National. Yeah, he'll be
popular.
Well, and I mean, I wonder which guys along with him will be, because there's going to be a couple of guys that emerge that we're not really paying attention to right now that happen to be the starter. Like who's starting in Tampa? Is it Baker Mayfield? Actually, Michael Ham, is it Baker Mayfield or is it going to be Trask? Because if Trask gets announced as the starter, then maybe, that gives, again, like around that time frame, maybe people are scrambling around for some of that stuff. I don't know, though. I mean, who knows? NFC South is not a very good division. I'm saying that as a Saints fan. So, I mean, look, you could be a Baker Mayfield or a Trask and actually have some decent success within the division. It's possible. We'll see. I mean, both of those guys are thrown to Mike Evans and to Godwin, among others. So I don't know. I mean, the Bucs are an interesting team.
And the other thing right now is unless you have somebody that's just really fallen off the planet and nobody's giving any thought to, there's not a lot of quarterbacks out there that are cheap. So even if you're buying them now for the National, you're not going to see the needle move a whole lot for these guys. I mean, are you talking about buying Josh Allen right now and selling him at National hype? I mean, you're paying a lot and probably getting minimal return. So it's really the guys that are just like absolutely in the dumpster that nobody cares about, that everybody's given up on. And they're going to be your longest shots. They're going to be the longest shots for you to do anything or to make any flips off of. So they're the biggest gambles, but they're the ones that are the lowest risk and have the highest upside because they don't have stuff baked in. So many quarterbacks have so much already baked into them. They're already really popular. We also saw NFL quarterbacks stay popular all year this year. They didn't ever really die off. That's telling me another thing about the hobby market is that I feel like the NFL is kind of starting to take over even more so than basketball. Not saying basketball is not popular because it is really popular, but I feel like the demand for NFL quarterbacks or people at least speculating on NFL quarterbacks didn't have a downtime this year. People talked about NFL all year and kind of forgot about the NBA for a portion of the season.
It is weird. We've talked about this too. We're now, we're in the NBA playoffs. And I understand it's not necessarily, like people, it's not buying season for NBA, but it is kind of interesting though. You always did have kind of that talk of like, all right, cards are going to start, there's card movement because of what happens in the playoffs with these guys getting closer to a ring or falling off and not winning a championship. And this year, I haven't really heard much at all about that. I mean, I'm sure it's out there. I know there's basketball channels and stuff talking about some of that stuff, but I just haven't heard near as much as in years past. What is this? Is this true? And Anthony Edwards threw a chair at a woman. Is that real?
Oh, I don't know.
Is this
Did
a
that
joke,
happen?
Jimbo, or not? Because I completely missed this. Bag Jeffwell and Sir Hungwell. There you are. There it is. Gino's East. More pizza places, I'm assuming there. Vikings fan. Yeah, all the Vikings fans, all the Skull fans. I'm a Saints fan, so it's like we beat the Vikings to win our title, and then we've been cursed ever since. It was like we had to like sell our soul to beat Brett Favre and the Vikings, and then we got the Minnesota Miracle, and then I was actually in the stadium when Kyle Rudolph won with a touchdown in the back of the end zone. We didn't deserve to win that game, though, so it was kind of like whatever. We got completely outplayed, and then the Saints kind of like rallied back. But yeah. Yep. Baker's in. Trask may never start. Yeah, Baker Mayfield's got to make it happen in Tampa. Honestly, it's like if you can't make it happen in Tampa, they actually have a decent O-line with Wirf, or is it Wirfs? And then you've got, Evans, and you've got Godwin, and you've got you've got weapons down there, and you have a weak division. Like if Baker doesn't make it happen there, then I think that's the end for him.
Yeah, but the way I look at that, I thought about that because I'm like looking at Baker Mayfield and I'm like, are his cards, is there any potential there? I look at his age. Is he 28 already? He was old coming out of the draft.
He was drafted in 18.
He was drafted in 18, but he was old coming out of the draft is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Like there's like guys like Josh Allen are like 25. I think Baker Mayfield's like 28. He's either 27 or 28. Like he's got a couple years on those guys. And then I look and I say, yeah, he's got weapons in Tampa, but Tom Brady had weapons in Tampa last year and didn't look very good. So are we saying all of a sudden the Tampa Bay offense is going to make Baker Mayfield a good quarterback because they struggled with Tom Brady last year? Baker Mayfield's not Tom Brady. Their offensive line was not very good last year. I know that you said they had Tristan Wirf, but their offensive line struggled.
Yeah, no, true. They didn't have a great offensive line. They had building blocks.
I know this because I play a lot of fantasy football, and I had Mike Evans on one of my teams, and I was frustrated all year with Mike Evans' inconsistencies with Tom Brady. And it was frustrating me as a fantasy football player. Now, the Bucs and Brady were losing. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. But, Mike Evans and John Wolf has a bunch of comments here that we can string together. Actually, Rick Lyle asked if we have any thoughts on Justin Fields. And then Justin Wolf.
Steve, I totally forgot about this. See if you can still invite stream to your channel. Do you have that option up there so that we can bring in your audience as well?
You want me to do that?
Yeah, see if we can do that just because it helps. I mean, it helps. Bring everybody in. What was it? Go ahead, tell me again. Where was the comment?
It's Rick Lyle. He says, any thoughts on Justin Field? Right below that, John Wolf says,
yes,
Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson are the only good buys.
Deshaun Watson, interesting because he's been left for dead, really. It's kind of like he had all the bad news. Yeah, I mean.
And then Beavis Card says what QBs were hot at the National last year, which we can bounce back to because John Wolf also says that I don't respect Justin Fields. So I want to touch on all the Justin Field stuff, and then we can back to the hottest quarterback in the National if you want.
Yeah. While you're doing that, Deshaun Watson's an interesting one. This guy was literally a top 5 quarterback in the NFL before all of the crazy. And so from a talent standpoint, he's definitely talented. That's not in question at all. It's just, can he put it all together in Cleveland and rebuild a career? I mean, that's really what it's going to boil down to. Okay, we might have lost Steve for a second. But I'll bring him back. All right. Are you back? Did it work? Sort of. And then Justin Fields, interesting one too.
Are you hearing me? Because I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you now. All right.
Okay.
I guess it kicked me.
Were you able to log in or no?
Yeah, I guess it kicked me over to my channel and it threw me backstage again.
Okay, yeah, and I brought you back.
Yeah.
I can't see though if it worked. I always forget this.
It must have worked.
Can you see
it? Had to work. It always works.
Wait, where's the clip? Isn't there like a clip when it's somebody commenting from
if somebody comments from my channel, but see, nobody's watching this on my channel because
just give it a second, man. Give it a second.
Because you are the Sports Card Dad. Why is anybody going to watch Flipping Steve's channel when the Sports Card Dad is
Uncle Flipping Steve? You're the one that helps everyone through, including me. Uncle, you're that uncle, hobby uncle.
Okay.
You should change your name to the hobby uncle or something like that. Uncle Steve.
I agree that I do think Deshaun Watson has some sneaky value, but people aren't trying to let go of his cards very cheap right now. He's one of the guys that I've been looking at. I've gotten some numbered prisms. I bid on a blue prism of his the other night in a PSA 10, and it got shilled like crazy. Like, it was a 2017 blue prism, so it's pretty much a color match. It's numbered out of 299. It was a PSA 10, so it was not the typical silver prism that you normally see. And you could just imagine that card in a Patrick Mahomes, right? So
Yeah.
I'm bidding on that card, and it actually was sitting at a nice value, for a couple days. And then as it's numbered out of 199, and then as it I'm trying to pull it up on my phone here. You might not be able to see it on the camera. It's a blue prism in a PSA 10. You can't see the PSA 10
Oh,
case.
that's a pretty card, yeah. Is it numbered out of like 199 or 179?
Numbered out of 199. So I was bidding on that. It ended up going for $1,400. So to say that Deshaun Watson is a good buy right now, I mean, you got to find the deals. I mean, I guess that's the case for everything. But
was bidding on that.
Was he bidding on that?
Well, no, he said they're the only good buys right now.
But I mean, if you look at the bids coming in at $500, you got a feedback of 1, then a feedback of 2, and then the feedback of 2. Also, this card jumped from $500 to $1,200 on one bid.
I don't like it.
And then it went from 12 to 14, and then it went from 14 to 14.25 on a bidder with 2 feedback. So I was out. I'm not overpaying because somebody's running the price up on me. So what's the true value of that card? We don't know. So to say that you can get good buys on Deshaun Watson, you're going to have to avoid people shilling the cards up, because right now a lot of people who have nice Deshaun Watson cards are probably in over their head and are not willing to let him go under a certain value. And cards like his contenders and stuff are still expensive. So
you don't think people dumped him when he got in trouble, or you think it just held on through?
Oh no, well, he was probably more of a better buy then than he is now.
Oh, you're saying it's recovered?
Yeah, because if John Wolf thinks that he's a good purchase right now, and I think that he's a good purchase if you can find deals, then there's probably a lot of other people out there that think like that too, right? At least enough to keep his market relevant. And then he said that I don't respect Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields because he won me my fantasy football Super Bowl this year. I said he was a good fantasy quarterback. I said I don't know if that translates to a good NFL quarterback. The problem with Justin Fields and owning him as a fantasy player, I know this, he was injured a lot.
Yeah.
He was banged up a lot because of how much demand for him to run the ball. Yeah, they ran the offense through him, and he put up some great rushing stats and some great fantasy stats, but he also passed for $120 a game. And he was getting injured and dinged up, and they kept putting him out there. He was questionable almost every week with some sort of nagging injury. So if they're going to keep doing that to him, he's just going to get banged up. He's going to be like Lamar Jackson. He's going to be missing, games in most of the last 2 seasons. Yep. Unless they change the game up and he can pass, and is that his strength? There was a reason why they weren't passing much last year. I mean, they did get weapons. They got weapons this year.
If you're an NFL coach, though, I guess I just don't really understand, or offensive coordinator, all right, let's run the game plan through the quarterback. We're going to run him 30 times a game. And, like he's Cam Newton or, somebody, which Cam Newton was at least big, took way too many shots. But, a guy, Justin Fields' size, great runner and everything. But, I mean, how many quarterbacks before have we gone through to where, it's like, you got to figure out how this guy, find some pass plays that work for this guy. That's one thing that Sean Payton was talking about. One thing he did really well with Breeze and other QBs is find their strengths and then work to those strengths. So maybe you do run Justin Fields some, but you've got some set plays, certain things that they're really good at and enjoy running. Don't try to make them into something that they're not. Figure out what they're comfortable with and build off of that. I just don't get it.
There's been 3 things that have bumped his market since the beginning of last year. Number 1 was him being a successful fantasy quarterback, and a lot of people will gauge quarterback success by that. Number 2 was the acquisition of DJ Moore. The acquisition of DJ Moore also caused people to all of a sudden go out, because I've seen it. I will watch vlogs and stuff all the time of Justin Fields. It's trending right now. Lots of people are posting his cards on Instagram. And then the fact that the National is in Chicago, a lot of people are already thinking about that, and they're like, man, I need some Justin Field cards to take Chicago with me because I'm going to be in Chicago, and there may be a higher demand for his cards there. That's something that a lot of people may not look at or think about, but there are people that are. So I know some people that are stashing Justin Fields cards for Chicago because it's in Chicago, and other people that are stashing him because they think he's going to have a successful year. There's just multiple things that have caused his cards to go up, more so than what I want to pay for him. I'm not willing to take the gamble for the price that some of his cards are going for now.
Anybody watching the draft curious to hear which player is going to fall the most? The Saints pick on the back end of the draft, unless they trade. I swear we trade up every year, which ends up costing us draft picks down the road. I hope that we just sit tight and just make our picks, because we've got multiple spots that need assistance. But yeah, I'll be watching it. I'm actually going to be recording. I'm scheduled to record tomorrow with Reckless Cards. So shout out to Reckless Cards. It's not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded. I'll be on with them tomorrow night. So I'm going to miss a portion of the draft, but I think I'll be okay because the Saints are picking on the back end. So hopefully I don't miss that. So, but what's your take on that, Steve?
The draft, man, I haven't even paying attention to it. Miami traded away their first round pick. Curious to see what San Francisco does, but I don't think that San Francisco is drafting early either. It's just, I don't know. It's another year, another draft for me.
I cut you off for this. You were going to say something instead.
Oh, I was going to say, you say you're going on someone else's channel, or someone is coming on your channel?
I'm going to go on somebody else's channel.
Okay. I feel like you've become the Galactus of YouTube. Haven't you been swallowing up other content and broadcasting it? I'm like, man, I'm like, the sports card dad is like the vacuum, the parent company now. And I'm like holding on here. I'm trying to vacuum. I'm like, and then they're on the other side, like Spaceballs are like, suck. And I'm like, no. So,
Now I'm trying this out with a few different content creators, and it is a lot. I mean, to manage, but it's fun too. Just trying something new, and we'll see how it goes. With some of that stuff. But the feedback has been really good mostly, so we'll see. Yeah, we will we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this show won't be changing. It'll stay exactly the way that it is. Bazooka Tom, what's going on? I think Bazooka Tom is going to be, he was at the table next to us 2 years ago in Chicago. He was right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we see you again in Rosemont there, Tom. Never invest in OSU QBs. It's true. There's a long line of I don't want to say failures, because you're not a failure if you make it into the NFL. I mean, let's be real. But yeah, it's true. There's not, I can't think of, am I missing an obvious one? Ohio State QB that's been amazing. I'm probably missing one, aren't I?
Ohio State QB that's been amazing. I can't think of any. Yeah, the silence speaks volumes. I'm trying to.
You know what? That's a good transition, because we have got a mystery special guest unannounced. Let's see. Hold on one second. Let me bring you in. James?
No, this is Brock. What's up, Dustin?
We got Brock, and then we've got James. All right, you guys threw me off because I had MVP Sport Break, and then James popped in right as I was bringing Brock in. What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
How are you?
Good.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the show. And for the audience, these are the owners of MVPSportbreak.com, our show sponsor tonight. And thank you guys for coming on. This is great. So I wanted you to come on, just kind of talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. Obviously, we have a coupon code that's running 10% off site-wide, DAD, and then number 4 is the coupon code. But yeah, James, Brock, whoever wants to go first, if you want to just introduce and then kind of go into what you guys are doing.
Take it, James.
Hey, so first of all, Dustin, appreciate it, man. I've been watching your channel for a while. Flipping Steve, watch you too. So MVP Sport Break, we started about 2 years ago. Started as a brick and mortar, which obviously we still are. We also have an online aspect where we sell cards, and we try to run the gamut on every avenue out there. Again, we started just kind of on a lark about 2 years ago, and it's been really successful and really do good online sales and just trying to do more.
Yeah. What are you guys excited about now? Are there, certain new products coming out that you guys are focused around? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm pretty much excited for all the release dates, right? There's some fan favorites, the Optic and the Select, but it's hot and heavy right now in May and June, and a lot of the Pokemon stuff comes out soon. There's a new set, so it's always every Friday or Wednesday is pretty crazy in the shop because of the release dates. So I would say Optic's one of my favorites, so I'm pretty excited to get that in a couple weeks.
Now, were you guys collectors kind of before you got into this? How long have you, I guess, give a little bit of a hobby history, James, if you want to go first. How did you collect as a kid, or how did you get started in this thing?
Absolutely. So I've been collecting. I was actually looking through all of my cards about a couple of weeks ago, and the oldest card I could find that I know I bought in a pack was like 84 Topps football. So yeah. I've been collecting for a while, and then I kind of slowed down in the 90s. Went to college, and had other things to spend money on than sports cards, and so I've been doing this off and on really for a little over 40 years, or about 40 years, excuse me, and getting back again around COVID, like a lot of people. But I've always, you see a pack of cards at a store or something, you grab them. Maybe you don't really pay much attention to them, but it's really changed a lot, obviously, as you guys know, just since when we were kids collecting. But, I mostly collect baseball, a lot of vintage baseball. I love Topps products. So that's kind of what I'm into. I don't really do a lot of football or basketball anymore. I've kind of zoned into baseball just because that's what I enjoy most.
How about for you, Brock?
No, for me, my dad grew up in the 60s, so he had a lot of the 50s and 60s cards. And his favorite player was Yogi Berra, and that's my favorite player now. And so it just got, collecting some baseball here and there. And then, like James said, once you go to college and do that stuff, it kind of tapers off a little bit. But I came back, in the last couple of years, and some of it was because of the hype of it all, but the hobby, the collecting, I collect college football stuff. I'm not going to mention who. It's pretty embarrassing, but so I have that, that little room in my house and collect that kind of stuff. So I like it, and then now I get to, just talk to the customers about it. It's not about the business side of things all the time. And I just like people come in and bring the cards, and we get to flip through them together and talk about it. And that's what I enjoy.
I'm going to go off on a little bit of I'm going to go off to the side here. If you have spouses or girlfriends or significant others, how do they feel about all the cards around? Are they like, yeah, this is fine? Or is it like, all right, guys, let's figure out how to get all this out of here?
I need to keep it in the man cave, in the room.
Yeah.
It's scattered out on the kitchen island sometimes, or the kitchen table, but if I keep it in the room, it's okay.
Yeah, about the same. She deals with it, and she doesn't begrudge it too much. And actually, I've got a daughter that collects with me, so we have a good time doing that stuff. And actually, I have two daughters, and one really likes to open the pack. She doesn't care about what's in them, but she likes to open them. So, it's kind of a family thing with me and one of my daughters. So my wife deals with it. She's a good sport about it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, guys, thank you very much for popping in. Is there anything that you want to throw out there to the audience, just as far as new releases or just things to look out for on the site? It's mvpsportbreak.com is where to go. We've got the ticker running, Dad4 for 10% off. But is there anything you want to throw out there, before you head out?
Come check out the website. Like Dustin said, the discount is big. Our prices are very comparable to what it's supposed to be priced at. And just check it out. If you give us a call, Google us, give us a call. If you guys want to talk sports and whatever, I'll take that call all day long. If you're in the area, most aren't in North Dakota, stop by. But yeah, we have almost every release product available. So come check us out.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. And I'll put links in the video description and then also in the comments after we're done with the live stream so people can find you.
Awesome.
Right, thanks, Dustin. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Steve. All right. So here's the problem is now so definitely check out those guys are good guys. MVPsportbreak.com. Definitely check them out. Before you go to all the big, retailers, wholesalers, all that, check out their site first and just see kind of, what's out there. You might get a better deal there. So definitely check them out. I'm going to be probably way behind on comments. So let's see if I can kind of get caught up a little bit. How dare you bring up this blasphemy, Michael Stone? Bountygate? That was never proven. That was simply, didn't they make a movie about how Sean Payton got, he got suspended for a year and now Hollywood's got a hold of a movie. They made a movie about it. It was so terrible. Unbelievable. Yeah. Don't even get me started on that Bountygate. That was one of those things where it's like every team was doing something like kind of similar, but we took the absolute, heat for it. But whatever. It's fine.
I want to bring some heat on me because you miss a lot of comments of people trying to convince me. Basically making excuses for Justin Fields' season last year. That's the way I'm going to put it. People are not and sometimes an excuse is legit. But no line, no wide receivers. There's going to be a new coach, just different stuff. And that's fine. Like, I'm saying that Justin Fields isn't for me. So I don't know if you guys are trying to convince me that Justin Fields is a good quarterback to buy, or if you're trying to convince yourself because you either want to buy him or you've already bought him and you're trying to feel better. I don't really know. I'm not going to sit here and push players on anyone.
These
I'm here getting Justin Fields pushed on me. I'll take him on my fantasy team for sure.
I'm getting Saints slander all over the place from these Vikings fans. Look, Tom Brady was supposedly cheating too, and he just kept winning titles. So I guess there wasn't any curse, or maybe he sold his soul or something. I don't know. He looks like he's 25. Maybe he actually did sell his soul. All right, let's see.
They're not cheap. Justin Fields cards just are not cheap. They're not cheap. It's not like there's any deals.
Steve is all about the deal, so it's got to be.
Yeah,
it's all about the deal. So it could be a great player with a lot of upside, but if it's already priced in.
So Grotto's Pizza. So I told you this story, Dustin, when you were here. I don't know if you remember, if you were paying attention.
When we were walking, that local Delaware place?
Okay, so it was at one time.
It was right.
Grotto started in Delaware at Rehoboth Beach on Rehoboth Avenue. I actually worked there in the summertime when I was a teenager, and it was really good back in the day. I mean, when you were a kid and you went to the beach, you were going to Grotto's. Like my dad used to be like, "We're going to the beach," and we were like, "Yes, we're going to get Grotto's Pizza." And it was cool. You could go, you could stand in the window and watch them spin your pizza and everything. They made them to order. But then they blew up and they became not a franchise, but they became like all over the place. Like just in Rehoboth Beach alone, there's 2 on the boardwalk. There's 1 on the avenue. There's a Grand Slam Sports Bar in Lewis. There's 1 in Dewey Beach, which is 2 miles down the road. And then you have them now all over the state. You can even get them in Dover and Wilmington. I think there's 1 in Pennsylvania. And when stuff, it's great for the business, but quality tends to go out the window. Like I remember when I started working there, they started like pre-making their dough and everything. And I remember when I was a kid, they made them to order. So it's kind of like, you have to do that to keep up with demand, but I can't pump Grotto's Pizza anymore. I mean, there's a lot of places I like, even on the same block, Ocean Block, as Grotto Pizza that I like better.
2 women that reported injuries. So I guess it was semi-serious with Anthony Edwards. So yeah, Bazooka Tom tried to comment from Steve's channel and couldn't do it. So maybe because you'd already joined the stream and then tried to do it later.
I got a button up here that says "Stream this to your audience." Let me see. That's because I didn't. That's because I never did that.
Steve, what the heck are we doing, man?
Let's see. I can't even put Flipping Steve in the PFD because you're not the PFD anymore.
Anthony Edwards loses game, runs off court, grabs steel chair, flings it at a woman, should be in jail. So deals at the National, I guess it's going to depend a lot on what you're looking for, but also Harjimba. The last time there was probably serious deals at the National was 2019. I would assume, because I remember famously, I'm just using a big influencer. Gary Vee talked about how he sold like 30 base PSA 10 Luka Doncic rookie cards for like $50 or $60 each. He bought them for 30 and sold them for 50 or something. That was kind of right as the big move up was happening. So I would assume that July of 2019 was the last time you were getting like real good deals on cards. So yeah.
At the National itself, you can get some deals. I'm not going to say it's like they're deals all over the place. People are trying to pay for their tables and things like that.
And it's expensive to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still priced like 2021 because, again, we'll be another year removed from that. But the biggest thing about the National is all of the trade nights and all the secondary areas to get cards. You go to trade nights every night, and it's like another sports card show. I almost enjoy the trade nights more than I do the show. I like the show to just walk around and look what people have. Honestly, I couldn't find a lot of stuff at the show last year that piqued my interest, which sounds funny because it's a National. But I did find some cool Game of Thrones cards, a cool Back to the Future card. And I'm talking about the extra trade nights, not the Ryan Card Collector 2 trade night. That one, to me, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers again. To me, that was the most disappointing part of the National last year.
Oh, Ryan's trade night?
Yeah, well, I thought that it was. It was crowded. They stopped letting people in. There was nowhere to sit at all. There wasn't even that many tables.
Atlantic City or Rosemont?
Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
It was just a big. The word I was going to use is a bad word, so I'm not going to say that.
It was a cluster.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. That's what I was going to say, but I was going to put the other part on it, the cluster, But it just, I don't know. It just didn't seem. I don't want to say very well organized, but it didn't seem very well organized. Like they weren't prepared for the amount of people that were there.
Yeah.
So. And I was carrying some heavy Zion cases with me, and I just felt like I was standing there holding them all trade night. And they let people do things like one person take up an entire table. Like one person or two people would sit down on an entire table, spread all their cards out as if they were set up at the show. And then there was nowhere for you to sit at the table or anything like that, unless you just went over and was like, move your cards, I'm sitting.
The most fun was was it the Lowe's Hotel where everybody?
And that was in Chicago, yeah.
In Chicago, that was the most fun. I don't know if that'll ever happen again quite like that because they have like security now, I think, for that. But that was awesome because people like literally grabbing tables and chairs out of like closets and just setting up. Yeah, I mean, It was nuts.
Yeah, that won't happen anymore. I think that just caught them so off guard that now they'll be prepared for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, will there be deals? Honestly, there's so many dealers and so many cards and so many trade nights and all that. You will find deals somewhere. It's just where, what are you looking for and where are they and all that stuff. Steve's comment on auction being shielded is eBay's answer to have auto pay for winning bids. And they've already started doing that for some stuff, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, they do on best offers because I make a lot of offers on cards, and sometimes it'll just say make offer and it'll say offer sent. Sometimes it'll say when you make the offer, it'll ask you your payment method, and you got to select a payment method before you submit the offer, before it allows you to submit the offer, which means if your offer is accepted, it automatically pays. But I don't know if that's set up for auctions or not. Hey, I got a comment from my channel. Let's go. Let's get it.
It's working.
It's working. I see the little paper clip. My boy Jordan Hudson over there on my channel representing. I see.
Bryce Young has taken the Panthers nowhere. Oh, to the playoffs in year one. Woof. Woof. All right, Victor. All right.
Who are they throwing the ball to there in Carolina? The chosen one has gone to Miami, and DJ Moore is in Chicago, and Christian McCaffrey is gone.
I can't really talk
Miles
smack
Sanders?
because I've been to Charlotte the last 2 years where I thought our team, my Saints team, was better than the Panthers, and we've gotten throttled both times by just bad Panthers teams. So, I mean, last year's Panthers team wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. I mean, they were okay, but yeah, we just haven't. 3 years ago, I went and we beat them like 35-10 or something. But the last 2 years, we've gotten beat. So I can't talk smack, but I assume that the QB, whoever it is not going to solve all the problems in Carolina.
Who was it? What year was it that we went?
Didn't you come? Did you come the last 2 years, or was it last
2 seasons ago? Not last season.
Well, you
last
saw.
season you had your Saint season tickets.
I thought you saw Sam Darnold. Didn't you see Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I saw Sam Darnold.
Hmm.
But he was there last year, but he was there the year before too.
Oh,
he was there the year before as the starter. They
Yeah.
started like 4-0 and they were doing really good. And then
Yeah.
McCaffrey got hurt, and then their team kind of fell apart. And then last year they started with Baker Mayfield, and then I think Sam Darnold started the last 6 games and went 4-2.
The Bears fans are this is kind of funny because we have Vikings fans and we have Bears fans in the chat going back and forth. Number one was breaking off multiple 60-yard plus TD runs. Yeah. But how long can you do that, though? That's the only thing. How long can you hang your hat on that, RG3? All right. What's going on, Phoenix Rising? Good to see you.
What's up?
Opening day of Sports Card Dad theme park. It's in the works. It's in the works, Bob. Stay tuned.
See where let's see where you're at with the let's see, that's 9:29. That's almost okay, that's like 20 minutes ago.
All right. So let me just try to run through quickly.
I'm throwing. Run, Dustin, run.
Dustin will be the bench clear number one with all the sponsors. We're working on it. We're working at it. We just keep on every day. We just keep on trying.
See, I'm here to offset Dustin's sponsors. He has all the sponsors. I have no sponsors. So just cut his sponsors in half and just blame him for
Oh, here we go. Here's a hater, Average Joe, card collector, infomercial dad. Oh, man. Average Joe always shows up in the comments to talk smack, but I appreciate you, Joe.
Does he?
Yeah, he always shows up.
He must not be on my channel.
He's always mean tweeting at me or mean commenting or whatever. It's okay, though.
Get him, Joe.
Vintage. Oh, Orlando. Speaking of vintage, you're going to really enjoy my video tomorrow. Just know, and same with you, Mike Petty. You're going to take some offense. You might take a little bit of offense to tomorrow's video, but just know it's all in good fun. It's entertainment.
Is he pumping his video already?
It involves vintage cards, and it's not negative. You'll see. You'll see.
I may or may not have a video tomorrow, guys. I don't know. Oh, man.
The future ain't what it used to be. I like that. You put that well. 90% of the game is half metal. All right. I need to. There's some good. See, I don't want to skip comments that are good comments. That's the problem.
I know, but we're going nice and fast now. We're going to catch up.
All right.
Hey, guys, keep commenting so fast that Dustin can never catch up.
Oh, Steve, what does this phrase mean to you? When the hobby punches you in the face. I titled it up. I told Steve, I'm going to title this up, and then you're gonna throw in your 2 cents. What do you do when the hobby punches you in the face? What does that make? Like, how do you feel, or what does that mean to you?
I might have to get back to you on that one because I don't even know. I don't think it's punch me in the face yet. Or if it has, I didn't realize it.
Or I think that's actually an excellent way of taking it. It's a good point of like, do you not even feel like you've been punched in the face? Like maybe it's just kind of like, that's not a thing for like, as far as your experience goes. I mean, the hobby almost punched you in the face when I almost lost your Zion case at the National. That would have been.
But would that have been the hobby or would that have just been you?
Yeah, but I'm a part of
one bad apple doesn't spoil the bunch. I would have been mad at you. I wouldn't have blamed the hobby.
And good for you, Steve. Good for you. That's you being strong. Some people would blame the entire hobby. Oh, Bob's always bust on it. He's busting on everyone, including his own wife. Come on now. Please do not.
Like, if people are talking about wins and losses, like you just take your wins and losses and that's it. And that's not just the hobby. That's with life. That's not just saying, no, I'm not. Sounds like a live drive.
It's a live drive.
No, I'm just saying, like, I've taken losses on cards. I've taken big wins on cards. I've had, to be honest, the years of 2020 to 21 changed my life to an extent. Not that I've talked about, but because you know me personally as a friend. So
that Castle Grayskull wouldn't be sitting behind you if it wasn't for
exactly. But I mean, it's just ups and downs. And sometimes things are easier and sometimes things are harder. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just you face the same adversities in life, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and you just go with the flow. And that's kind of how I approach the hobby. Now, the hobby isn't my life and it doesn't consume everything that I do. And maybe that's why I don't feel things as badly as other people, because it's still a hobby to me.
Oh, there's one that bit the dust, at least for now. Drew Lock. I hope Russell Wilson will be a buy, but I was picking up Drew Lock 2 years ago in Chicago. So yeah, I mean, that's the whole, the speculating on QBs thing. It can work out or it can be tough. Hambone actually logged out and then commented back from your channel.
Yeah, he says he wishes so we could both be live, or you could be in both lives at the same time.
Oh yeah, well it looks like Mike is actually doing that or he's 2 minutes apart. Either way, we'll take it. Mike, if you could please log into all of your accounts and comment, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. Yeah, Orlando's saying had to wait over 30 minutes to get into that trade night. Yeah, they did. That was kind of a wonky one. He's talking about, I assume he's talking about Ryan's trade night last year in City. The one that was in Chicago 2 years ago, it was crowded, it was wild, but that was really fun.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we got a table there. Now, we got there early and we got a table and we had lots of people approaching us. So we didn't have to walk the room because we had a table. So it's kind of like, but what if we didn't get a table there?
It would have sucked.
Would it have felt kind of a little bit like, this is just kind of like, I'm not like the younger people that are there that can get down and spread my cards out on the floor and stuff. Like,
he's got bad knees. Like we can't.
It's just, like I'm not going to put my cards on the floor. You know what I mean? And sit down on the floor. So
it was nice how in Chicago, there would be like 20 somethings that would come up to you and actually like try to make trades. So you didn't have to do that work. There was people that would actually come up. It was great, and I don't know. I don't know if you can really replicate that except for a good trade night like that.
And then we're watching each other's stuff or babysitting each other's stuff. Like, okay, I want to walk around trade night without my cases, and I got no table to put them on. We all had our cases like in a big pile, and believe it or not, like Ziggy was watching our cases for us. Like he was hanging out with us at the trade night and was there when we were like, Ziggy was like, "Hey guys, I'll watch this stuff if you want to go check out the cards." If you want to walk the room, I'll make sure nobody steals any of our stuff. We had like one chair there and like a bunch of cases around it.
Yeah. Well, I think I had my fanny pack. I don't do the Zion. I don't know how you guys do it. I'm too paranoid to bring a lot of slabs to a show. I don't know how you guys do it. Even going through the airport. Like I don't want like airport security going through my stuff. And then what
TSA pre-check.
What if they confiscate it or something? I mean, it's like a nightmare. Anyway,
I did get stopped. Coming back from the Atlanta show. Now I got stopped in Raleigh last time when I came to your house, but
that's because I called down there. I was like, look, you need to check into this guy.
But I got stopped back on the way, and in Raleigh they didn't take very long. But on my way back from Atlanta from Culture Collision 2 years ago, not the most recent Culture Collision, I got stopped in Atlanta and it caused me to miss my flight. So
that sucks.
Yeah.
Jordan, our folks. So you're talking about Rui for the Lakers, right? He's now a Laker.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is Jordan still speccing on basketball players? Is that something that you're actively doing?
Well, he was asking me because Rui was a guy that I was buying some cards of back
Going
during
back.
the
Yeah, I remember
pandemic.
that.
He was one of the guys that I just kind of liked. I always thought there would be a market for him just because of the Japanese market appeal and things like that. Actually, was able to. I held his cards longer than I originally anticipated. But when he got traded to the Lakers, he saw a bump in his cards and popularity just because now he had a whole new fan base and a big fan base at that. And the fact that people were thinking, okay, he's going to the Lakers. He's on a better team. This is a way different environment than being on the Wizards. And, he could possibly prosper here. So there was a couple things. Just the fact that, okay, now he's in the news. He's going to a big market team. And then the fact that he was establishing a whole new fan base. I was able to move a lot of – actually, my Rui's hit consignment when that happened. I was like, all right, these got to go to consignment. And I actually did not do too bad off of those.
Yeah, Phoenix Rising, what are you bringing? What are you looking to liquidate? I'd be interested. If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to be specific, or you can be. It's totally up to you in the chat, or you can reach out to us directly. I was talking to Steve, and I was just thinking, man, there are probably, as much as there are people getting into the hobby, you also have to assume, too, that there's a lot of people getting out. I mean, I have to believe that there are dealers that are just making all sorts of money on people that are coming to them with collections, that they're just looking to get rid of, to get out of. And the reason why I say that is, and it's not like a knock on the hobby or the industry or any of that, because I do think that there will be new people coming in, but it's probably a transient thing where people come in and out. But there's a lot of people, I think, that probably got in and now they're just like, you know what, I just want to get out so that I can pay off certain, bills, or I can, just put it into other things. I just wonder about that, and that's why this national is going to be so interesting in that way. Just watching what people are doing with dealers, if they're trying to liquidate at 50% or 60% of comps or 70 or whatever that is. And then also at trade night, are people going to be a little bit more aggressive to just move off of certain cards that they just don't want, that maybe they got into and now they're like, I just want to get out of it. I don't know. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think at the trade nights, that's already taken place. That was taking place in Atlantic City. People were just looking to get out of cards that they wanted to cut ties with, including myself. So, speaking from a personal standpoint on that, I had some Zion cards and some Colin Sexton cards that I wanted to get out of at the National. I was able to do both. And I moved them into Hall of Fame cards to be more safe. And I look back on it now and look at Colin Sexton struggling with the Jazz and Zion being hurt again. I'm like, man, I'm glad I got into something that was a little bit more solid than these players. As far as collections go, if people have huge collections, I'm going to guess that they're not people who just got into the hobby recently. I think that, and if we're talking from a collection, from like a collector's standpoint, the collectors are always the hobby given. They're like hobby constant. That's why there's still a hobby. If there wasn't collectors, it wouldn't be a hobby.
Yeah.
And the collectors and the flippers. I know my name's Flipping Steve, but I do collect. But I'm saying the flippers and the people that are simply here to make money, they'll come and they'll go. There'll be new ones. There'll be old ones. There'll be some who do it for a long time. There's some do it for a short period of time. It'll all be different. And as some leave, more will come in. Maybe not as quickly as it happened in 2020, but the collectors will be the one constant. So when you're talking about selling off collections, I don't necessarily think it's people selling off collections as much as it is people selling off maybe a PSA order that they've been waiting to get back for a year, and cards now that have tanked since then and things like that. So I think a lot of the stuff that will be for sale in bulk like that is going to be a lot of the stuff that people are going to be buying for like whatnot auctions and stuff like that. Not the typical person like me who consigns every now and then or lists a card on eBay every now and then. And people who possibly do repacks and they need cards for their repacks. People who do dollar boxes, people who do the slab bins, $10 a slab. They might buy slabs off somebody at $5 a slab, and they don't even care what the card is. It's just going to go in their slab bin at $10 a slab. So,
yeah,
that's what I think is being sold. I don't think people are going around and selling off their childhood collections and selling off their vintage rookie card collections or selling off their Hall of Fame auto collections. So I don't think it's going to be a mass sell-off of really high-end quality collector quality type cards.
Yeah, speaking of what John Wolf is talking about, I think that the problem too, obviously nobody can predict this, but the problem with the market is it's so the market is made up of a zillion different cards, and I'm of the belief that every card has its own market, really. I mean, we just saw a wrestling card. We saw a Rock Black Prism 1/1 sell for 6 figures. We just saw a Nintendo Power #1 CGC 9.8. I know it's not a sports card, but it just sold for 6 figures. Those are new record highs, for those specific cards. So there's so much nuance in collectibles, which makes it really fun, but it also makes it completely unpredictable. And there's so much that goes into it. We are looking, I think when you're talking about 12, 24 months, John, I don't see from my vantage, like when I'm just looking at what's going on in the world, and I'm not some genius, I think everybody kind of sees the same thing. There's not really economic markers that show you a bullish market now or coming up here in the next month or 2 months. Now, maybe something shifts, to where, that does happen over the next few months, but we've basically just been getting kind of negative-ish style, data in, and, there's not really anything that resembles what looks to be a bull market, for at least, as far as sentiment goes. When you're talking about sentiment, I just don't see it, but there's going to be rare stuff. It's like what Steve said. I mean, people are still going to pay a premium for those really rare things that are important to them. It probably just means that everyone's going to be a lot more picky instead of buying the second and third tier player. Like when we talk about like basketball prospecting, like a guy I bought into, Porzingis, when he played for the Mavericks. You had Luka, you had Porzingis. I've still got some Porzingis cards. But that's an example of like the Scottie Pippen to not that Luka's Jordan, but just the second best player, the third best player. And what if they kind of ascend? I don't see near as much of that going on in basketball right now. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but that was something that was very popular. Steven, you did that too. Kind of a guy has a hot night and the cards move up and you flip out of them and you sell out of them. Like that stuff. I don't know if it's completely gone away, but it's definitely on life support compared to where it was, going back a couple of years when you just kind of had slush money, people able to throw it around. Now it's way tighter. People are just being a lot more picky. And you said, Steve, I think it's more of like, even the people that were like flippers investors that are still in this now, if they've kind of converted over and they're more of kind of a long-term collector, or they've got a PC of something, they're going to be really picky with what they're going to buy. And what they're actually going to put serious money into. So it's not that people are not putting serious money into stuff. It's just they're being very intentional about it, I think. So when does it bottom out? That's for certain things it might have already bottomed out. For other things, it might have a long way to go. For other things, there's so many different buckets I feel like we're talking about.
Right. And to touch on that really quickly, and like you said, the market itself is so diverse, whether you're talking modern to vintage to pre-war, whether you're talking baseball, football, basketball, soccer, hockey, there's so many different things in the market. For instance, I just said that I sold some Jordan Love cards that went up, that had upwards trajectory on them because of some news around Aaron Rodgers being traded. So to say that, is the market bottoming out as a whole when there's still some cards out there that are increasing in value? Now, one thing I've always talked really strongly about is you always want to have cards that collectors are going to want. There's only so many base rookie cards that are, so if like I said, I like to use this example. If you collect Luka Doncic, how many 2018 base Prism rookies of his do you need? If you want one for your collection, then you need one. Unless you're buying 50 of them because you want to try to flip them, then you're not buying a lot of them. And if you're a collector, you're probably not flipping. So you always want to have like more rare, desirable cards that collectors are going to hit on. Now, when you talk about things possibly like blue chip vintage, which I'm learning stuff about now, has the market bottomed out on that? Who knows? Are these cards safe to buy at their prices that they're out now? and there's not going to be a driving catalyst that makes them really go up in value quickly, rapidly, like a modern card, but you might see a 5 to 8% passive annual increase on those cards just because of age, just because of time, just because of the way the market works in general, in every market. Or are those cards still are those cards on a downward trajectory where, they're not necessarily safe to buy in? I mean, what are you talking about? It's kind of like, I think you can't just apply it to the market as a whole. You got to apply it to different subcategories, different individual cards. You can say, yeah, the Michael Jordan Flair is going down and it probably hasn't hit its bottom yet. But then you can also look at another card and say, well, this card's going up. I better get it now because it's still going to go up. Right. So I just think there's different circumstances that applies to every individual card, as opposed to just saying the market as a whole.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think about this, Steve? Steve and I actually just went to the Philly card show. That's about 2 hours. Steve's also in Delaware, Brad. So yeah, I mean, we went to that Philly show. I thought it was great. I mean, it was jam packed. I've never been to Chantilly, but I've heard that it's the same people that run Philly show also do Chantilly. I've heard great things about that one. The Raleigh card show where I am actually has a 400 table show this weekend. So if you want to come down, Brad, if you're, what is it, a 6-hour drive? I drove up to Delaware. I mean, I'm really excited about this show. I'm going to be there with my son. And, but yeah, that's the first time that Raleigh's, at least in the last few years, I've never heard of a show that big in Raleigh. So there's a lot of good East Coast shows though. Steve, you have any input there?
For me, so, and it depends on what part of Delaware you live in. I'm centrally located. So I'm about 2 hours, give or take a little bit, a couple minutes from Philly, and 2 hours or so from Chantilly. To me, those are my best, closest shows. 2 hours may not sound close, but when you live in Delaware, you got to take what you can get. And those are going to be the best two that come around this way easily, by far. And our state isn't big enough to where we see the demand to have what I would call local shows. I guess Philly and Chantilly would be a little bit more regional. But it's not like we're having shows pop up at the mall or at the flea market or things like that around here at a fire hall. It just hasn't drawn that type of attention. There was one at a high school not too long ago on a Saturday. My brother had brought it to my attention. He was like, there's a high school. I mean, it's a high school that's literally 15 minutes from me, was having a card show. I didn't hear anything about it. My little brother brought it up to me. And like Howard Johnson, the former Mets third baseman, was there signing autographs. I didn't make it. I wanted to go to that show so bad, and I completely forgot about it. And I forgot about it because I'm not used to shows popping up around my area. So that Saturday went by, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to go to that show before I went to work today, and completely forgot. And, I don't know what I missed. I could have missed something, or I could have went there, and it could have been like 5 tables of people selling 1990s Topps baseball, so.
I think Mike nailed it here. No card is safe right now with what we buy, sell. Buying nice vintage stuff and enjoy it. It will go up and down over the years like everything. Modern is throwing gasoline on a fire, in my humble opinion. And I think it's not a bad thing necessarily, too, to just sit and watch and hold on to your cash. That's not a bad plan either, and just see what happens. I mean, you can, this is actually probably a good research time. I've been selling off a lot of low-end slabs with the goal of consolidating into some larger things that I just really want. One of those cards, and don't worry, Mike and the rest of you, I won't stay on this for a long time, but I did get the Stranger Things Grail. I know, Mike, how big you are into Stranger Things, so I know you're going to love this. It's the purple Millie Bobby Brown, the 11 auto, numbered out of 25. It's in the purple slab mag. Shout out to Slab Mags. I've got to set up. I've got an affiliate that I haven't set up yet, but it'll be it's coming. Don't worry. But anyway, this was kind of one of those big cards, but just kind of consolidating smaller, $20, $30, $50 slabs into larger things. And vintage will be one of those things as well moving forward. But it's not a bad time, I think, too, to just research and really figure out what you want. as opposed to impulse buying. There's so much out there. There's a zillion cards. So it's really all about, just prioritizing your collection, how you want it to look. Because there's a lot of people that are throwing cards out, and me too. I think you kind of follow people, whether it be on social media or other card collectors, but it's really got to be stuff that you love. And actually, that's where there's barely any Stranger Things cards collectors. So that's something where there's a handful of people that really do that I know of, that I'm in contact with. But that's what makes it kind of fun, is because it's like a niche collecting crowd. It's literally like a handful of folks. I mean, there's just not that many. It's not like, vintage baseball. You've got so many vintage baseball card collectors, which is awesome camaraderie. At the same time, though, I'm sure some of those vintage baseball card collectors would love a time where it was very niche, going back to whenever that was, the 40s or something, or the 50s, when people weren't buying it as much or into it. And it was just a limited pool where you could get what you wanted without it being, priced up. Anyway, that's my rant there. But holding on to cash, kind of like what you said, Steve, going to the National, that's not a bad thing either. Just see what's out there. Take your time with it. You don't need to rush. Those cards will be there. Unless you're looking at 101s or PSA 10 vintage cards that never come along or whatever. I mean, most of the stuff that we're looking at will be there. Brett, playoffs don't matter. Winning titles doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to prices and flippers is hype. This is what Fanatics will be modeling everything on. And you do raise a good point. Another word for hype, I think, is just, it's hype, but it's also just hobby narrative. There's certain cards. There's been so much emphasis on the PMGs, especially the 90s basketball PMGs. There's a lot of long-time collectors that are like, hey, like those 90s PMGs were never a thing until we've got this new crowd of folks over the last 5 years that have really made PMGs what they are today. Not to say they're not worthy. They are rare. That Jordan Green PMG is awesome, the red PMG. But it's funny, though, how narrative shapes a lot of the pricing. Whereas with vintage, like you just bought a Willie Mays rookie card, there's not really narrative around that. That's simply a supply demand. There's long-term, collectors of that particular card and vintage baseball cards. With 90s stuff, that's new. That's kind of new territory, I think, for a lot of collecting. So yeah, I can definitely see that, Brett.
I'm gonna disagree.
Oh, you're pushing back, Steve? How dare you?
I'm going to disagree to an extent. I'm going to explain it.
We didn't talk
since
about
playoffs
this.
Don't matter, winning titles doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, I mean, yeah, when you're selling some stuff that's hype, like I said, I just sold Jordan Love cards. I keep saying that, but it's because it's something I can personally speak about, and I made money off of them on hype, strictly on hype. But it will matter if he goes out and wins 3 games this year. It will matter. His cards will go down. If he goes out and falls flat on his face, his cards will go down. So to say playing or winning and things like that, or success, basically just sum that up into success. If he's not successful, his cards will go down. So it does matter.
Well, actually, I think what's even more dangerous is if he's very successful, the cards might go up based on the pricing that you're talking, this hype pricing. But if he's not successful, then you get hurt by it. Think about it from that standpoint.
And here's the other thing. I just bought a Willie Mays card. It was close to $5K. Why was it close to $5K? Why wasn't it a $10 card? If I go to buy a Tom Brady rookie card tomorrow, it's going to cost me at least $1,000. Why is it going to cost me $1,000? Why is it going to cost me $5?
Because of
Simple
the hype.
answer. Because of the hype, or because he's won 6 or 7 Super Bowls and he's considered the GOAT, right?
Right.
So his cards have held value. Willie Mays cards have held value. His rookie cards in 1951 Bowman, he's been retired for a long time. His cards hold value. Why? Because he's considered one of the best baseball players to ever play. So to say success is not driving value into cards is false, at least from the way that I'm looking at it. Maybe someone else is looking at it from a different angle. But yeah, it is true. Hype overinflates the prices of some cards. So that's what I'm going to say, to be fair. It overinflates the prices of some cards. But some cards are justified at the price that they are because of the player's legacy or their body of work, whether they're retired or still playing. Patrick Mahomes could retire today, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer with MVPs and Super Bowls. His cards are going to hold value. So, and if Jordan Love or Justin Fields, who we've talked about, if these guys go out and they're successful over time, their cards will hold value. But if they go out and they fall on their face, their cards are not going to be worth anything. Nobody's going to want them. Nobody's going to be talking about them. No one's going to care. Success makes people care. Hype and news makes people care, but hype and news goes away. Success doesn't go away. So,
yeah, it's a good point, because it's almost like prospect on these guys or take a look at like Patrick Mahomes cards. And I'm throwing this out as a hypothetical. This is not what I'm doing, but it just makes you think, because in cards, it's like a lot of money gets concentrated up into the big players, Michael Jordan or Kobe, or Tom Brady, those guys, their cards, if you look at their market cap, for a lack of a better term, it's just a lot of money gets funneled up into those GOATs or those great players. And so is it better to go, Fields and all these other guys, or is it just, let's look at different Patrick Mahomes cards and which of those do you think are underpriced? Because look, he's actually got a decent amount of cards, and even like second year, people laugh at like, oh, why would you buy Patrick Mahomes second year? Well, I mean, Michael Jordan's second year cards are pretty expensive. If you look at some of these LeBron James second year cards are expensive. I understand different markets and all that, but if you believe that Mahomes is going to have a long, if he's going to have a long career, he like you said, Steve, if he retired tomorrow, he might be a Hall of Famer, 5 years in. I mean, the guy's doing crazy stuff. So, I don't know. That's just kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. I'm talking hypotheticals. I'm throwing it out. Is Fanatics hiring hobby hype men Flava Flav? I hope Fanatics hires Flava Flav. They would be smart to hire They'd be smart to hire Flippin' Steve. What do you think?
No, they wouldn't. No, because I don't know. Because if they did something wrong or bad, I would talk about it.
You better
do it. Better do that shit.
You make a video like ripping up their check, like some dramatic video. That would actually be really entertaining. All right. You guys should check out the Rich Altman show outside of Boston this weekend. It's legendary. Dude, Rage. I've got the largest Raleigh card show maybe ever in my backyard that I've got to make. But Steve, if you're around, the Rich Altman show outside of Boston, a little bit of a hike, but you could pull it off potentially.
The Rich Altman show. That's a show that is that the show that Filmington talks about a lot, but I haven't been able to go to that one. I also wanted to go to the one in Boston that's like at the Boston Garden sometime too, but a lot of shows I would like to go to, but I'm not a full-timer at this.
Shaking violently while sorry, I'm locked in on the comment section. Yeah, hold cash. I mean, if you're not sure, just sit on it and just look, just pay attention to what's going on and then pick your spots. I mean, that's really it. That's it. Clocks on clocks. Come on down to Bob Boozle Clocks in Raleigh. Are you in Raleigh, Bob Boozle? If you are, please reach out to me. I know Bob's he's always in the chat. So yeah, absolutely. If you're in Raleigh, please reach out to me or nearby. Jess Man Sports Cards coming over from your channel, Steve.
Oh, hey, what's up? Represent.
All right.
Hodges representing, man.
I think it's John Bon Jovi's son. I think they're actually engaged. I'm not sure. My daughter and I are going down to meet her. We're going to meet 11 in Orlando next month. Me and my 10-year-old, she's flipping out about it. And actually, Cousins Collectibles, Oz, one of the cousins, is also going with his 11-year-old daughter, and we're going to go in there I think he's going to get autograph, picture. I don't know. We're going to meet 11. So excited about that. Both of our daughters are freaking out about it. That's just one of those things where it's supposed to be her only United States appearance to do like a photo op or something like that. So I was like, we're not going to get this opportunity again. we're not going to get it. So we're going down there. Me and my daughter are going to drive down. It'll be fun. That's right. In 2 days, our lives change forever. The premiere of the Golden Touch, cards shoot up and everybody retires, right? That's what I thought. I mean, Steve, isn't that what you're expecting?
Is that the show with Ken Golden?
Yes, that is.
I didn't know that's what it was called. I didn't know when it was starting, and I didn't know what it was called. It's funny because I know this is Golden and not Golden with an E, but someone in the casino business, there is a dice shooting method when you play craps called the Golden Touch. It's something I look for when people shoot dice. It's a way that they like to set the dice, throw the dice, where they stand, how many bounces they wanted to hit on the layout and off the back wall. They basically try to manipulate the numbers on the dice by limiting the amount of bounces and controlling the dice as much as they can.
Steve's
it's called the Golden Touch.
What's the movie? Is the movie called Casino, where they like run the
casino?
There
is one. There's a movie called Casino.
I just want to see. I want to see that video footage of Steve coming down from from the top and just tackling guys to the ground and like, get him out of here, get him the hell out of here.
No, the easy way to prevent somebody from using the Golden Touch on your dice table is to just be like, hey man, if you want to shoot the dice, you're going to have to move down 3 spots. They like to settle up next to the stick person, which is the first spot on a dice table.
And so right when you tell them that, they're out. They just cash out and leave.
No, sometimes they play, but
it's kind of funny though, because you're like a Jedi Knight. Like you're able to like disengage them. You're able to get them to stop doing what they're doing without it becoming like a confrontational thing. You just basically move them off their spot, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I say, hey, you're welcome to play. You're welcome to shoot the dice. You're just not going to shoot the dice from there.
It's just I know how you win, so you're going to have to change how you're doing it.
Yeah, you just have to slide down a little bit. Thank you.
Or get the hell out. Can we get you another drink, sir? I disagree with Mike. With Modern, you collect where the parallel is the chase. I'm currently collecting a 2022 White Sparkle WWE base set. Shout out to Dex too. Always going after some of the really cool. Well, he's got all sorts of things. Transformers inbox, and he's got some nice stuff. Shout out to Dex. Rage, I'm going to skip over your comment. Family channel. Collect what you like. Orlando. Nothing wrong with a $100 bill collection, which we should transition into U.S. currency. Is anybody collecting graded U.S. currency? That's a thing. That's actually very interesting stuff. I don't own any of it, but I know of it. I've looked at it and it's kind of cool. I mean, I know people collect like old coins, rare coins and that sort of stuff, U.S. currency, but like the actual bills is what I'm talking about. Like graded, like $100 bills from like 1900 or whatever. It's pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, side note. Got my ticket grail this week. PSA 8. Oh, when he scored 81 points. The game ticket. Pop 9, only one PSA 9 exists. Eclectic collection from Dex.
Got them tickets. All right, I'm looking in the comments. Okay, see, we're at 10:14.
Mike,
we're 11 minutes behind. We were almost caught up.
Yeah, they just can't. They come in a flurry.
Well, some of them are really small. Like you have some of them are people commenting on other people's stuff and laughing and things like that.
I click on all. I'm not supposed to click on those.
Oh no, you can.
I'm just kidding. I don't. Yeah, just the question marks and the. All right, Steve, what do you want to tackle here? We're almost to the witching hour for me. You know how I roll. We're at almost 90 minutes in, and that's where I start to really kind of shut down. Everything shuts down. They got to recharge the batteries. So
look, Mike Petty commented on when I was saying, why is Willie Mays cards?
What time?
$5,000 at 10:16. $5,000 and not $10. He answered. Really he answered correctly because he was good.
So you're saying performance mattered there?
Performance mattered.
All right. Fair enough. Hey, you two and crew. Hope all is well. Carddeal.com. Hope all is well.
And then Brett S, I believe, maybe was commenting back at 10:15 about what I was talking about.
We'll come back to you, Rage.
On performance. Matt Stafford cards are sky high since his Super Bowl win, and he says, no, they were. When he won the Super Bowl, his stuff went up big time. And then last year he was garbage and they went down again. So again, based on his performance, his cards went up, his cards came down. It wasn't just based on hype alone. It was based on his performance.
New rookies are up and comers. Yeah, the Max Jones stuff is interesting, especially now that Aaron Rodgers is in the division. It just got a little harder. Many of the new cards have price movement that are not at all event dependent. That's what people. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, Jordan Love hasn't started a game yet, so that is strictly based on speculation that the guy does something good. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're basically looking at it as like,
I just saw a comment from Flea Market Mixtape. I just was saying, hey, I haven't seen Flea Market Mixtape in a while. They used to be an every nighter on when I used to do Monday night live stream, but that's my fault because I don't do Monday night live stream anymore. So good to see you.
He's here. Yeah, he followed over. This is why we log into your channel, Steve, so that Flea Market Mixtape doesn't miss it. And if you want a card that's hyped up, what the hell should have got it beforehand or just wait? Who cares? Right. Hype and news is what the inexperienced use to make their purchases. The greenhorns, so to speak. Oh, we got Joe Day. We got a celebrity in here. Mike's Retro Trading Cards YouTube channel. Joe Day, one of the trio. One piece of the Triforce. Move over, Tom Brady. Kenny Pickett is the next GOAT. Hail to Pitt. Joe is trying to drive hype for his guy, Kenny Pickett. He's a Pitt guy. But he's also a Tom Brady guy, so that's interesting. He's kind of playing both sides of that one.
Yeah, I don't know about Kenny Pickett there. I think Kenny Pickett's value is based, like he's got his cards. When people are pulling cards this year, they're looking for Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy, right? They're like, that's what we want to pull. But that's basically because that's the only quarterbacks that had any substance. Kenny Pickett was the highest draft, and then Brock Purdy actually played really well, or San Francisco played well. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Do you think a more sneaky buy is just kind of those veterans that are already a little proven, that are already on a team? They're not like and maybe their team is just expected to do better.
Yeah, I think there's some out there. Like again, it's based on the individual, but I don't think all of them are, but I do think there's one or two veterans that you could look at and say, hey, this guy bounced back last year. He looked good. The team is exciting, and maybe they can make the playoffs this year. Do I think there's anybody in that situation that I'm willing to put in the Super Bowl? I don't think so, unless Aaron Rodgers and the Jets can pull something like that off. But I hope not. But again, Aaron Rodgers isn't a guy he's not a big secret. Or he's not somebody that's like under the radar either. You're talking about, again, a future Hall of Famer. So,
right. Yeah, and you kind of nailed it here, Brett, is you've got maybe 5 first-round QBs. I mean, it just feels like outside of last year, I mean, I know last year was kind of an anomaly where you didn't really have a deep QB class. I feel like every year now they're expecting a deep QB class. And we really had it going back to 2017, 18. I mean, we've had really kind of star quarterbacks that have come out of these drafts that are now really the new faces of the NFL. And now you've got another, a lot of expectation on some of these guys. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how you choose who you're going to speculate on. It just seems
right.
Really,
but I mean, again, the only
Trey Lance was a 3rd overall pick, not like a year ago, 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago.
Yeah. But again, the only issue with this statement is, and I'm not trying to pick on Brad, I'm not trying to pick on you, but the only issue with this statement is, because this is a fact, is that this isn't my opinion, is these new guys that are being drafted tomorrow, they won't have any products worth buying.
Right.
There won't be any products out that people of them want to buy. There might be some score or something in their college unis or something like that. But at the national and coming into the NFL football season, there won't, the time that you want to be moving your football cards, when you're seeing value around them, these guys won't have products out. So it will still be the same guys. And the fact that last year's draft was so thin will even push it even back to the draft the year before that. Because who are we looking at out of last year's draft? Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy. So we've got to go back another year to even speculate on more younger quarterbacks because last year's draft was so thin. So again, you're still looking at guys from like 2 drafts ago that are going to be hype based, even 3 drafts ago, because last year's draft was so thin and this year's product won't be out.
Dex, you literally went from sending me stuff in the mail to now you're hoping that I have a bad take, so Steve hits me with a stunner. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Don't make me get my wrestling gear. Hold on a second.
Oh, God. You don't know what you did. You don't know what you did. You don't know what you did. Keep selling those Josh Allen rookies cheap in auctions. Josh Allen is an interesting. I know, John Williams, you're a Josh Allen guy. I remember from your comments. And he is a guy that's been kind of forgotten because of the playoff loss. I just haven't been paying attention to his prices to know if they've come back down. You mentioned cheap here. I don't know, which cards and how cheap they are, but he's an interesting guy. He's a good player. But we'll see. We will see. Chase the Jordan Love at the peak of his hype that the flipping Steves of the world capitalize on. Fair point. Bazooka Tom, I'm sad to say, but I really think we haven't hit the bottom yet. All signs point toward a pretty extensive recession around the corner. What's weird, though, is it feels like we've kind of already sort of been in one. It's been like a weary, like a mist, like a recession mist. It's not like hardcore, but I feel like we've kind of been in something like it for a while now. There's just sentiment's been bad for a while. I mean, so I don't know. Dan the Card Man came for the dice lessons. Absolutely. Steve.
Whoa, when the hobby punches you in the face.
Woo. Woo.
All right, who's looking for stunners?
Oh my God. Kids, stay in school. Everyone stay in school. This is what happens.
Hair out through here. All right.
Steve was a amateur wrestler back in the late 80s and 90s. And
you can't call me Steve anymore.
Oh, what did you
I got a mask on. It's not me.
Oh, it's
not me. It's somebody else. I need you guys in the comments to give me a wrestling name. Give me a lucha name or something.
It looks like a Nacho Libre mask, but give him his own wrestling name.
Yeah, I can't wear this too long.
Oh, Bob overshared a little bit, but that's why we're here, man. We are here for you. Gave you the golden touch, itchy, but in medication, but you took care of it, and that's what matters. Mike with some added advice there. Gold bond. There you go. All right. Yeah, when they don't oblige. I'm behind on the comments. Oh, not too bad. 11 minutes. I'm thinking this is a conversation we already had. It's not too bad, though. 10 minutes. When they don't oblige, Steve breaks out the hammer like in casino. Yeah. You don't want to be messing around in Steve's casino. Let's just put it that way. He knows all the tricks. He's watching every single inch of that place.
I break out the mask, baby.
Yeah, this actually
bring him to the back room, and I'm standing
there.
That's
how Steve goes to work.
Oh,
he's got the suit and tie on, and he's got the mask on. I'll leave y'all for a few minutes. Dustin starts with graded currency. Yeah. Hey, and I don't own any graded currency. All I'm saying is it's cool looking. I don't know anything about that market. I just look at the old bills and I'm like, historically, it's kind of cool. I'm not saying that I know anything about it. Fair.
I'm back. It's me. It's Steve. I'm here.
All right, good. We got Steve back. We got Steve back. Get Dustin a Duff beer. I'll take it. I'll take a Duff beer. That's a Simpsons reference. I'll take it. All right. I think this is in reference to me saying that we're getting to the end of the show almost. So yeah, they're calling for more caffeine.
Hey man, they want more. That's a good thing.
Bob, performance matters. Nah. So there you go. That's all you need to know. All right, guys. I think that we're an hour. I'm 4 minutes past my time. It's bedtime. Steve, any last? What did you want to throw in something? Go ahead. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to throw out into the sports card hobby world?
Really, I don't have anything really to say tonight. I mean, ultimately, we all like to fund. Our goal would be to fund the hobby with the hobby, right? At least that's my goal. I don't know how many people. Lots of people might.
Fanatics, are you
make
listening? This is Steve saying to Fanatics, hey, we'd love to fund the hobby with the hobby. Fanatics sponsorship. Just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it.
I'm telling you, man, as long as you have me on every 2 weeks, I'm dragging you down, man. Dragging you down.
No, you're not, man. No,
I'm going down. You're come with me.
You're bringing me up. You're bringing us up here.
But yeah, ultimately, at least for me, and I'm going to say for some people, we're in this to have fun. We're in this to collect. We want cards. If we make money, that's a bonus. And we would like to use the hobby to fund the hobby. Some people don't mind. Hey, got a good paycheck this week. I'm going to go buy myself a card. For me, I like to fund the hobby with the hobby. I buy and I sell and I collect at the end of the day. And my approach isn't the same as everybody else, but it's worked for me. And I don't know. It's just my thoughts. Even with the market going down, like people talk about, like if you didn't over leverage yourself and you use the hobby to fund the hobby, then you should be all right. You should still be enjoying it. The enjoyment doesn't go when the money goes. And you asked me earlier about hobby punching you in the face or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, it's just like life. You just approach it like life and take the ups with the downs, the good with the bad. And as long as you enjoy it more than you don't, then you're good. And don't let small things eat at you in the hobby or life. If you don't do it in life, why would you let it do it to you in the hobby? Something that you're supposed to like, something that you're supposed to enjoy. Like,
that's a good point.
If you're the type of person that goes through life and you let stuff roll off your back, you have thick skin, you're like, that doesn't bother me. I don't agree with it, but it doesn't bother me because it's not, why would you let something in the hobby do that to you? Why would you let it eat at you? Why would you let it make you make comments about things?
Yeah, I used to whine and complain when I was a kid, and my dad told me to just shut up. So after a few times, it was like, you know what? You're right. I can
That's
whine.
all I have to do?
Wait, so you're saying that me whining and complaining doesn't change anything? Well, there's the answer then. I guess that's how I have to live. Not saying that you can't whine and complain sometimes, but I think what Steve is saying is if it is all consuming, it is a problem. It'll stunt your life experience. Stunning Steve. Orlando. Rowdy Piper. I'm still like, I'm only 4 minutes behind. Okay. Let's just wrap up. I'm getting close to the end here. I feel like I need to end on a double.
Oh, yeah, you are. You're getting close.
El Nino. Steve's wrestling name could be Cardboard Killer. Flipman. I like this. Dan said Casino Steve. His finisher is the jackpot. I like it. Cut a promo for WWE. Okay, you said you were going to make a video tomorrow. Do some sort of mask, like cut a promo with it. That'd be funny.
Cut a promo?
Yeah, Casino Libre.
I feel like every time I do a video in my car on the way to work, I'm cutting a promo.
Yeah, kind of. Secondhand. Oh, average Joe Cart. I do have secondhand embarrassment. Glad my wife wasn't around for that. Okay. I don't know what that means, but that's fine. That's fine. Rope flipping evil Steve-O. Gareth wants the mask back on.
Oh no, man.
Yeah, we can only break that out. If we can't give too much there. Think of flipping Steve. Yeah, Brett, you keep bringing those comments, and look, that's one thing. Steve he'll throw it out there. I'll say how I feel too, and a lot of times Steve and I don't agree. Frankly, I just bought a card Steve probably would not have bought. He told me, he didn't tell me not to buy it, but he questioned it a little bit. We'll talk about it next week, or we'll talk about it on the next Off-Centered show. All right, Mike Petty, thanks for hanging out, buddy. We will talk to you later. Thank you. The long-lost Shemp of the Bushwhackers. Oh, man. And one of the Bushwhackers just passed, too. Those guys were the guys. All right, take care. Discuss the national mark. We can't get started there. Well, you know what? We already did talk about it a little bit. Steve, do you want to throw in a couple?
He could maybe be asking about the giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
Going on.
Take a minute for that.
So I haven't done a lot of entries yet. I've only had one question for entries, but again, if you follow my channel, if you watch Off Centered with me and Dustin, then you know about this. But I'm doing the giveaway to the National for the third year in a row. 3 nights this year, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. You get the hotel name. Let me pull up the reservation. It's the same hotel that Michael Ham and myself are staying at. However, it's a separate room. So you do have your own room. It will be for people 18 and older.
Me and Michael Ham and Steve are staying in a room with one king. So just to save a few bucks.
It's the Chicago Marriott Suites.
Kidding.
So Chicago Marriott Suites. The room is big enough for you to have a guest. And there will be some money involved, whether you use that for transportation or for cards, for whatever you want to use it for. Again, very similar to my giveaway that I've done the past 2 years, except this one is 1 night longer. So
where's Charles Fuchs in the chat? He's not here. You know, for somebody that won last year, you would think he would be here at every single show. He would just like make sure that he doesn't have anything planned. Unbelievable. Charles Fuchs not in the chat.
Yeah, well, Fuchs is not qualifying to win this year.
Oh yeah, no. Once you win, then
well, if Sean, who won 2 years ago, he could win, but Fuchs can't win again.
You guys have a Reddit? Do not. Well, I don't. I can't talk for Steve. I don't know how to do Reddit flea market mixtape, but if you reach out and share how to do it, we're happy to take a look into it. I've never touched Reddit before. Trader Griff's, I had a big mug of coffee when we started, but it's 10:43 Eastern. So, and I get up at 5:30, 6 a.m. no matter what. If I go to bed at 10 or if I go to bed at 3, I just feel terrible if I go to bed at 3. So, Bazooka Tom, Quantity Theory of Money says there are darker clouds on the horizon. I think that's a fair take. Bedtime for Petty. No problem. Night, night. Clara, how much do you bench? Oh, all the weight, all of it. I just put 45s on until it stops, and then, still just bang out probably 8 to 10 reps. No, I'm almost 42, so I'm not trying to tear a pec doing free weight bench press. I'm a Smith machine guy, where it's like I'll take a little bit of help, just kind of give it some, give it a little bit, but I'm not trying to hurt myself out there. I got 4 kids, so I got to watch it. Steve, do you want to throw your bench into the mix?
Oh yeah, I use the Bowflex.
Well, there you go. That's all you need to know. All right.
So I use all the bands, all the
bands. I'll have a keg of the DoubleTree. All right, Al. We will invite ourselves. We'll invite ourselves to that. Charles, don't give a fuke. That should be his tag name, or that should be his motto. Charles, don't give a fuke. Jordan Hudson says that he's going to win this year. All right, Brett. Good day. Yeah, I've never touched Reddit before. The most on-brand sports. I know. I always show my age. The Commodore 64, the AOL Online dial-up service, and I don't know what Reddit is. So there you go. Good luck, everyone. But after trying this first time, Steve would I will win the. Okay, Rage. You know what? Rage has been around since the beginning. I remember when I first started making content, Rage commented going back 3 years. So you're deserving if you win, Rage. I hope it's you. It's a shame you guys don't follow. I know. I love watching live hockey. I just don't have a team. I'm not. But if someone was like, hey, you want to go to a NHL hockey game? 1,000%. I love watching hockey in person.
I'm still bitter from the mid-'90s when the Flyers got swept by the Red Wings. I said I'll never watch hockey again, and
okay,
I've been pretty true to my word.
I've been here for 3/4 of them. I'm only one a headache. Yep. All right, it's the last comment. Do you think? Oh my gosh, it's a question. Do you think Panini gets back on track with their printing so we can speculate on players in NFL?
I think this is kind of what I talked about a minute ago when we were talking about certain quarterbacks, would no longer be the flavor of the week, which is true for some. But the reasoning was there's a draft coming up that's quarterback heavy. But one of the things that was said was that there won't be any, or at least that I said was there won't be any product that anybody's really interested in chasing out in time for that. Do I think Panini gets back on track with their printing? Not in time for this football season. I mean, the draft's coming up now, and they're probably still putting out product from last year, right? Some of the bigger product probably hasn't come out yet. Not to mention they still have basketball on top of that. They are still printing unlicensed baseball. So I don't think so. Not this year. And probably by the time they catch up, they will no longer even be making NFL cards. Yeah. Maybe football cards if Panini stays afloat, but they'll be making unlicensed product.
I think they're going to continue to make. I mean, I don't think they're just going to go away. I think they'll just make unlicensed stuff like they do in baseball, and I bet it'll probably sell. I mean, I remember at Philly show there was a whole couple of tables full of flawless baseball and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. I am going to hit the sack. I am exhausted. It's been a long day, but thank you very much for tuning in for another episode of Off Centered. Make sure to check out MVPSportbreak.com for new product. Before you buy from any of the other places, check out those guys first. Supporting kind of a local ACS compared to the big dogs. So appreciate that. Guys, we will see you back again in 2 weeks. Have a good night. Steve, thanks for joining.
I'm about to have a train, so see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And there he goes. The horn means the game is over.
That's it.
All right, at the buzzer.
See you guys.